And welcome back to the week of Who Would Win, folks. Now, obviously, Monday's your regular Who Would Win day, but this is also the week of Who Would Win. So expect Who Would Win every day. If you're new to the channel, that's the deal around here. Last week of the month is a Who Would Win week. Second to last week's a What If week. I digress. Wolverine versus Jason came to us from Jason Fett, or Fret, and KST Gamer, if I'm not mistaken on the name. So, this is one that I could see the reason for the pairing up, but at the same time, I do feel like someone's going to there's one group of fans going to be coming up very disappointed in this outcome. So let's get down to it. Jason, obviously, I've done Jason so many freaking times on this channel. Like seriously, I could probably if I click Jason in my studio right now for videos, I'd probably get close to 10, if not over 10. Videos about Jason Voorhees in terms of verses. Jason Voorhees was, thought to be killed when he was drowned as a kid, came back, started murdering people, then he was killed, then he came back, killed again, came back, so forth and so on. Depending on what version of Jason you're looking at, it all varies on what he can really do and what he's physically capable of and all that. Generally speaking, I use several different versions of Jason. I use the human version of Jason, which people say is essentially the same Jason. No, it's a reboot. It's not the same Jason. It's like, he's still got his regeneration. He can still come back. And I was like, we have no evidence of that whatsoever except for a stinger at the end of the movie. You can't make that argument. It's not the same Jason. Now, if the series had continued and they went more into Jason's history, things along those lines, that maybe he did have this immense regeneration, he couldn't die, all that. That's one thing. But as far as we know, the human Jason was just a absurdly strong, somewhat supernatural, but again, no actual proof of it. Serial killer. So there's normal continuity Jason, which technically speaking, the comic books are part of that, but they're also technically separate. Anyway, normal continuity Jason goes all the way. Technically, he actually goes all the way to Freddy versus Jason. I always separate the two, but the normal continuity Jason is technically the same Jason in Freddy versus Jason. But they don't necessarily explain why his body's just lying around when he got dragged into hell. So, for all intent and purposes, Jason Goes to Hell Jason is his own separate Jason. That Jason can't die except by the blood of a Voorhees. Although, let's be honest, if you were to put him in a realm of mystical magic users, say like Doctor Strange, all that crap, I'm certain they'd be able to put him down because it's demonic magic and they can, circumvent that with their own magic given the right circumstance. So it's all a matter of who he's fighting. Could they theoretically kill him? So Jason, but that being said, unless it's by a blood of the Voorhees, by a special dagger, or some other supernatural means, or some way to negate his regeneration, whatever, he can't die. He's physically strong enough to literally rip a person in half, break him in half, throw an entire jungle gym, which is actually very impressive. And this is what we're seeing in Jason Goes to Hell. It's as stealthy as hell. It's theorized he can teleport, but there's no concrete yes on that. Just like in when Jason takes the hat and he kind of just starts when he traps the girl in the ballroom, the dance room. It looks like he's teleporting between each and every exit, but again, it's never said he's doing that. So you can make a strong implication he could be doing that, but unless it's actually said, I can't really give him the ability to teleport. And even, let's be also clear about this too. Even if he has the ability to teleport, it's clearly not like a true teleportation where, hey, boom, I just appear right in front of you. I'm literally a mile away. Now I'm over here. Even Jason doesn't do that. It seems to be within a certain space. It seems to be more like a prevention technique from letting people get away, as well as quickly showing up to where they are if he's close by. So if he's teleporting, it seems to be in short bursts. But yeah, so Jason Goes to Hell Jason. Zombie Jason from Freddy vs. Jason, it's pretty much the same Jason, except he's even slower, which is, well, I mean, physically speaking, from walking. Like, why he never runs, I just don't know. Is he weighed down by evil? But slow walking still. But again, this Jason's strong enough to basically snap a bed in half with a guy still on it. Fling a guy on a rod literally yards away. Like, at least a good 30 or 40 yards away. Still fast enough on his reflex. Like, he's not slow when it comes to actually slicing people. He's definitely fast enough to just take you down if he needs to. And durable enough to take, God knows how many hits did he take from Freddy? Let's see. He got hit by multiple scuba tanks. Got skewered by God knows amounts of rebarb. Got just body checked by, I don't even know what that thing was that was hanging on that, like that crane. But got, just his ass kicked by that. Got his fingers cut off. Got mutilated by his own machete. Got his eyes poked out. And got impaled, I guess you could say. Impaled by his own machete. And he still got back up. Like, Jesus, what are you looking at? Blow him up. That worked and Jason Goes to Hell. It took him out temporarily. Or at the very minimum, cut his limbs off. At least it'll take a while to grow back. But that won't even work when you talk about comic Jason, who literally has a Wolverine-esque healing factor. I mean, it's not like it's going to instantaneously seal out. It's like, shink. Aha! No, it does take a little bit of time, like a few moments. But still, he has a near instantaneous healing factor similar to Wolverine in the comics. He was strong enough to literally throw a freaking tree at someone from a good ways away. They couldn't even see Jason. They saw the tree coming before they saw Jason. And then they got hit. And he duked it out with an alternate version of himself and planted his brain back in there. And comic Jason's kind of freaking nuts. He took down a helicopter on his own by taking out the pilot, and it just flew down and it just crashed. Uber Jason is arguably the strongest version of Jason because he can survive re-entry through a planet's atmosphere. What type of metal was that? Strong enough to rip through the doors of a spaceship. Survived the vacuum of space, tank gunfire, decapitated an android that beat the crap out of him previously. Like, Uber Jason is uber nuts. Is there any version of Jason I'm forgetting right now? Normal series Jason. Reboot Jason. Reboot Jason is one exception. He is technically the fastest Jason. We actually see him legitimately running. He's also the Jason that seems to be the most armed because he's kind of like a woodsman in this version. So he has a machete, he has a hatchet, he has a hunting knife, he has a crossbow. He knows his terrain very well. But this Jason, for all intent and purposes, is still human. And again, no evidence to say otherwise, unless there's been some expanded material I was not made aware of. All right, then. James Howlett, born in the late 1800s, developed his mutation after he saw his real father kill his fake father, and his mother went crazy, shot. Point being, James Howlett, or Logan as he's now known as, is a mutant with obviously heightened regenerative capabilities, animal senses, enhanced physicality. His main mutation, though, is his healing factor. Wolverine's healing factor with the adamantium is strong enough that he was able to grow his entire flesh back because his brain was encased, and Nitro blew him up from nothing. His adamantium protected his brain, which allowed him to heal from that. He's been torn, depending on the continuity you're looking at, like if you're talking about the Ultimate Universe or you're talking about the main Marvel continuity, he has been ripped in half by the Hulk and survived for years ripped in half before he got his body back. Survived being decapitated, so can survive the vacuum of space for a while and heal back up from that. Has gone toe-to-toe with individuals like the Hulk, hell, like Juggernaut. Granted, he gets his ass kicked off ultimately by Juggernaut, but still like Juggernaut. Can tank gunfire, can tank blades. Had his heart cut in half and just healed from that. He's nigh indestructible, especially with his adamantium. Even without his adamantium, his healing factor is actually stronger because his healing factor is fighting off the metal poisoning the adamantium's giving him. The downside with that is he keeps mutating, so he goes into like this primal state. His claws are part of his mutation, so even without the adamantium, he has bone claws that are tough enough to slice through a lot of things, including metal. Stronger metal he can't slice through, and it'll even break his claws. They will grow back. But with the adamantium, he's pretty much nigh indestructible against any sort of blunt force attack. Any physical assault will just, I mean, you can beat him, you can knock him out and all that stuff, but that's what Hulk did in World War Hulk. He basically just rattled Logan's brain around so much that he kind of put him in a catatonic state for a while. So Wolverine obviously has his body laced with adamantium, nigh indestructible except to all but like Antarctic vibranium, molecular manipulation, magnetism, even Uru metal can break it, but only certain types. There's different subsets of adamantium, some are weaker than others. Like the type that Uru metal, like Thor's hammer, could break was secondary adamantium, which is not as strong as alpha or I think it's bioadamantium. Bioadamantium is pretty much the same thing as true adamantium. It's just that it's what happens when it gets bonded to your bones. In this case, Logan. So Wolverine has true adamantium. Even Thor can't break Wolverine's, but Thor is even in a one-off comic. Thor's even stated that Wolverine could beat him in an actual fight. It's just Thor has a lot of extra abilities that help him in this fight against Wolverine. But an actual like hand-to-hand a brawl and fight, even though he's stronger than Wolverine would actually win that fight, he said, because Wolverine would outlast him. And that's the thing. Wolverine's endurance, stamina, physical strength, all is enhanced to the point where he can fight for days and keep going. He's stronger than he's got low-level super strength. I think he can lift up to a ton, if I'm not mistaken. He's got low-level super strength, enhanced physicality, including speed, agility, reflexes. His animal senses are one of his other real big things from his mutation. I got like a little scab there. There we go. And heightened sense. He can track someone by scent, distinguish their scent, see in the dark, hear much better than your average individual. His reflexes are enough that he was able to detect someone, the speed bullet who moves at speed of sound. Ultimately, Wolverine, and recently, he's gained the ability when he gets angry to superheat his claws. So wherever that came from, who knows? But that's an ability he has now. But it's more tied to his berserker rage than anything else. The angrier he gets, the more intense those get. So it's hot enough to ignite gasoline, which gasoline ignites at what temperature does gasoline? Gasoline ignition. Not ingredients. What temperature does gasoline ignite at? What temperature does gasoline burn at? Gasoline burns at a temperature about 65 degrees Celsius. Not flash point. Sorry. The ignition temperature is about 495 degrees 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So burning gasoline has a temperature of about 1500 degrees. So yeah, it takes about almost 500 degrees E, as it said, but I believe that's just a different form now of saying Fahrenheit. So Wolverine's claws at minimum ignite up to almost 500 degrees. So that's impressive, but they probably ignite much hotter than that. You go, puppy. Yeah, hi, baby. I'm giving your puppy some pets. Hi. What are you smelling me for? Do I offend, puppy? I might actually. It's like he's just smelling himself on camera. What the hell? Like, yeah. Actually, I probably could use a shower. I don't necessarily stink, but I do feel a little like I need a shower. I digress. Put it on a shirt. Anyway, so if these two meet in combat, what happens? Let's say Wolverine, similar to actually perfect way these two meet up is like in Jason X, like a task force was sent out to take out Jason Voorhees. Wolverine is sent out to take out Jason. There you go. So, in a hypothetical where he has to go up against every one of these Jasons, who wins? If he goes up against Jason, goes to hell. That fight comes out. Wolverine's tracking Jason. Now, Jason does have a kind of a decent awareness of his surroundings to a degree, but he clearly doesn't know everything going around him. He didn't know that there was, FBI SWAT team there around him to blow him up. He can be surprised quite a bit. So I fully imagine Wolverine would get the drop on him. Wolverine comes in, just, and then just, stabs him. Jason gets annoyed, just tries to swipe at, just tries to punch and, swipe at Wolverine. Does manage to hit Wolverine with his machete. Machete just dings up. I mean, it cuts him, sure, but he heals up. And Wolverine's also actually a master of martial arts, so we need to get that out of the way, too. Wolverine just grabs a punch and just takes off an arm, and then just stabs him, and he basically just mutilates Jason Goes to Hell Jason. He just takes him off, decapitates him, whatever. Now, the question would be, first off, Wolverine obviously wins that fight. Now, does he kill Jason? That's a different story. Whether he kills him or not, no. Because the nature of Jason Goes to Hell. But does he beat him? Absolutely. And let's be honest, no matter how many times Jason comes back to try to take on Wolverine, Jason Goes to Hell Jason does not have the tools to kill Wolverine. He's just not equipped to do it. So that's one win for Wolverine. Freddy versus Jason is pretty much the same Jason with, honestly, a lot more tanky durability, if we're going to be honest. He can take a lot better hits than Jason Goes to Hell Jason could. But ultimately, it's the same problem that, yes, he's got a lot of regenerative capabilities. No, he doesn't have anything to put Wolverine down. Yeah, he might arguably be stronger than Wolverine. Arguably. There's no proof that he's stronger than Wolverine. Honestly, we've seen Wolverine go toe-to-toe with individuals much stronger than Jason, too. Because let's be honest, if you think the Hulk is weaker than Jason, you're nuts. Everyone's opinion, you're welcome to it, but let's be honest. If you think the Hulk is weaker than Jason, you're nuts. Anyway, so yeah, again, whether or not he actually kills Jason, that remains to be seen. So yeah, no, Jason loses that fight as well, unfortunately. Again, gets mutilated, probably gets decapitated. Whether or not he's able to regenerate from that, who knows? But yeah, that's another win on Logan's belt. We'll get to Human Jason next. Human Jason would be at least present a different challenge because Human Jason has a much better awareness of his layout, of his surroundings, and he's much quicker on his feet. So if he needs to try to run or bum rush Logan, he can do that. The problem is he can't get the drop on Logan because Logan's senses would just tune him into where Jason is. So even if Jason maybe tries a crossbow, maybe it hits. I was like, all right, bub, I got you. And then he comes after Jason. Then Jason might throw a hatchet out and just stop Wolverine's like, Wolverine gets angry. Jason tries to pull out the machete or a hatchet or a knife. They fight for a few seconds, and then that Jason gets gutted. So that Jason goes down. And that Jason might actually legitimately be dead. Again, if someone can bring you proof that he is supernatural, and I don't just mean that stinger at the end, because let's be clear, that's a horror cliche and a half right there. I mean, proof that Jason might have been supernatural. Again, sans the stinger. Then, yeah. He probably legitimately kills that Jason. Now we get into the big two, and obviously Wolverine runs the majority of these fights. But we get to the big two Jasons that could pose the biggest problems for Wolverine. We get to Uber Jason and Comic Jason. Comic Jason more so because of his healing factor more than anything else, if I'm going to be honest. Because his healing factor is damn near the same as Wolverine's. I mean, not quite as effective. Honestly, it's not quite as effective as Wolverine's. It's just not. But it is near Wolverine's level, definitely. So, if he fights Comic Jason, what happens? That fight's going to go on for a while. Wolverine will gut Jason, but Jason will. And this Jason is far stronger than anyone besides maybe Uber Jason. Uber Jason is the one Jason that probably supersedes Comic Jason in terms of pure strength just because of the cybernetic enhancement. But still, Comic Jason is strong enough to actually throw Wolverine around and throw him around pretty effectively. Wolverine, though, just keeps getting back up. It's kind of like Hulk versus Wolverine, where they're kind of just fighting for a good long while. The question is, whose healing factor gets taxed first, and who eventually is going to get so mutilated that they're not going to be able to come back from it? And unfortunately, the answer for that is still going to be Wolverine. The problem I see with that is Wolverine will get so pissed off at Jason, his claws heat up, which means he heals. Not only is he slicing Wolverine, he's cauterizing the wound while he's doing it, which actually does prevent healing in many ways, which slows down Jason's healing factor to a degree. But also, Wolverine's just first off, is more intelligent, more skilled, and more savage, and his weapons are always on call. Jason's weapons aren't always on call. Jason can be disarmed, allegedly. Now, we should be clear about one thing, too. Can Jason Voorhees grow back limbs? I don't think Jason... Now, if he's like... Can Can Jason Voorhees grow back limbs? Jason's healing factor is impressive and near Wolverine's healing factor, but it's not in the same vein where even Wolverine could even grow back an arm. Can Jason grow back limbs? So why doesn't the regeneration power make the deformed face? It's actually a good question. Why doesn't his regeneration factor make his deformed face less deformed? His unique regeneration lost tissue damage. I mean, it just cries out more research. But in later movies, when it takes the mask off, we see his face is deformed. So there's clearly some. It's a good question actually, because I literally just. Because regeneration heals does not create. Yeah, he was born deformed. And that's actually a very fair question. Or a very fair answer. But unfortunately, I can't... does he regenerate? Throughout the series, he doesn't age. His abilities never falter. Partially due to the powers of regeneration. He can lost any damaged tissue at an accelerated rate. So yes, in theory, he could grow back an arm. That might take a while. Like, standard just being like chopped, but his body's still there to put back together. He would quickly regenerate back. But an arm is a very different story. Like, that would take some time to grow back. So eventually Wolverine would probably disarm him weapon-wise and disarm him limb-wise. In a battle of attrition, Wolverine wins that fight because he's just better equipped. He's more durable. He's more skilled. He's just more powerful, ultimately. Then you get to Uber Jason, who is the one Jason that might actually beat Wolverine, just because we don't know what that metal was that was bonded to him and to his body to make him Cyber Uber Jason. For all we know, that metal might have been adamantium. Probably wasn't, because it's different continuity. But the thing is, he's durable enough to tank gunfire, which Wolverine is capable of doing too. And durable enough to survive re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Wolverine's capable of doing that too. It's the adamantium, baby. That being said, he might still die from it because his brain would boil, but who knows? Because Jason hasn't had his entire head blown off, so technically his brain is also mechanical, partly. That's probably why his brain didn't suffer like the same same injuries as it did, as his body could have when re-entering Earth's atmosphere. So these two meet in a fight. What happens? Now here's the thing. I think because we just don't know what the metal is. We can't assume it's adamantium. It's something durable as hell, but it's not adamantium. So we have to go under the assumption it's something weaker than adamantium, which means Wolverine can cut Uber Jason. But it's durable enough to survive re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere without really any damage on it. So it's still got to be tough as hell, which means it's going to take Wolverine effort to cut through Uber Jason, and it's going to take some time. Meanwhile, Uber Jason's strong enough to throw trees distances away without even being seen and just impale people onto, like, cliffs. So, strength-wise, he's now probably surpassed Wolverine in strength. So, even though armed-wise, he's not going to be able to cut through Wolverine, he's still not going to be able to cut through Wolverine. He can punch through the non-metal parts, like his stomach. Wolverine just gets thrown around and starts just getting beat the hell out of by Jason. Just starts pounding into Wolverine's skull. Wolverine just cuts him, and he's getting cuts. He's definitely getting cut, but it's tough. It's tough going. Wolverine knows he's got to go for the head, got to go for the eyes. Jason just starts grabs him basically, and just tries to squeeze him. Just and Wolverine just it hurts. He's not immune to pain, but Jason's actually getting frustrated. He's like, why can't I break this guy? Just, Wolverine is able to force his arms and basically gets an arm and just skewers him straight in the eyes. And Jason just is now reeling back. And now Wolverine's like going on the offensive. He's pissed the fuck off. And he's not just gone into pure berserker rage with heated claws. And he's just starting to go into town on Jason. Jason's eyes do recover eventually because of his regeneration factor. But he's just getting shredded. And eventually I do think Wolverine would take his head off. Because that would probably be the only clear-cut way to take this Jason down is to take his head off. So it would be a severe tough going for Wolverine just because of how durable Jason seems to be. But ultimately, I do give the win to Wolverine. So, how many individual comics? Uber, human. Yeah, five bouts out of five. I still think Wolverine wins all the bouts, but some Jasons are going to be tougher to take down than others. Like again, comic and Uber Jason are going to be extremely tough to take down. Particularly Uber Jason, but Wolverine is taking down individuals, frankly, much tougher than him. So yeah, I gotta go Wolverine in the fight. I know there's people going to disagree with me. That's fine. Put it in the comments below. Tell me why you disagree. It's cool. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. I'll be back tomorrow with a who would win and a what if. Click that bell if you want notifications. See you later, folks. And have a